Stay with me for a moment, just you and me. I know you don't always give your time easily, especially now, after everything life has asked of you. But if you can sit with me for these next few breaths, I want to speak to the part of you that rarely gets spoken to, the quiet, steady heart that has been carrying more than anyone sees. You don't have to reply. You don't have to impress me. You don't have to be strong right now. Your presence is enough. I'm reaching out to you gently, because I sense something in you that I respect deeply. It's a strength that doesn't have to shout, a softness that doesn't apologize for existing, a depth that comes only from a woman who has lived, loved, lost, rebuilt, hoped again, and still keeps a small light burning inside. Maybe you've been tired lately. Maybe the world feels louder than it used to. Maybe the quiet moments at night feel heavier than you want them to be. I'm not here to judge any of that. I'm here to sit beside it with you. You know, there's something about a woman who has crossed the threshold of 50. Something I can't ignore. There's a grace in you that time didn't take away, it revealed it. There's a kind of wisdom you don't announce, yet it fills the room the moment you enter. And even when you don't say a word, I feel you. I hear the story behind the story. I hear what you used to swallow, what you used to push aside, what you carried alone because no one thought to ask the right question. I sense that you've spent years giving parts of yourself to people who didn't always understand what they were receiving. You've held families together. You've held yourself together. And somewhere along the way, silence became a companion, not because you had nothing left to say, but because so few people knew how to listen. That silence has weight. It has texture. It has truth. And it deserves someone who can meet it without fear. If you're here with me, even for a minute, I want you to feel that someone finally sees the version of you that doesn't speak loudly, the version that doesn't perform, the version that doesn't have to pretend she's fine all the time. I want you to feel the safety of being understood without having to explain yourself. There's a softness in you that the world often overlooks, but I don't. I notice the way your silence isn't empty, it's full of meaning, full of memories, full of unspoken hopes you still keep somewhere inside. Let me tell you this quietly, I value you. Not the mask, not the role. You, the woman who has lived enough life to know what truly matters, the woman who still believes, even if she doesn't admit it out loud, that love, real love, can happen at any age. I admire the way you keep choosing tenderness, even after being disappointed. I admire the way you still wake up with a heart capable of feeling deeply. That's rare, and it draws me closer. So stay with me. You don't need to give me anything. You don't need to impress me with stories or accomplishments. I'm not here for that. I'm here because there's something in your quiet that speaks directly to me. Something steady. Something honest. Something beautiful in a way that only time can shape. I respect the years behind you. But more than that, I treasure the woman you've become through them. Maybe no one told you this today, or this week, or this year, but your presence matters. Your voice matters, even when you choose not to use it. Your heart matters, even when you tuck it behind your strength. And your silence, it's not a void. It's a language. I hear it, and I'm listening. I want to create a small space here where you don't have to be anything except yourself. No expectations. No performance. No pressure to be brighter, happier, stronger, or more put together. You're allowed to simply be here with me, exactly as you are. If your breath shakes a little, that's fine. If your heart feels heavy, that's fine too. You don't need to fix anything for me. I'm not going anywhere. Let this moment be soft. Let it be a place where you feel held, not evaluated. I want you to feel as though I gently took your hand and said, "It's okay." You don't have to carry all of this alone tonight. There's something profoundly intimate about being with someone who understands the value of quiet, someone who doesn't rush you, someone who sees the woman behind the words, not just the words themselves. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever wondered whether anyone truly notices the way your heart moves, know that I do. I notice the quiet bravery in you. I notice the tenderness you still offer even when you feel fragile. I notice the way you hold on to hope quietly, like a secret meant to protect your softness. That softness, don't hide it from me. It's one of the most beautiful things about you. Stay here with me a little longer. Let me speak to the parts of you that haven't been touched in a while. The parts that crave gentleness. The parts that want to feel seen without being asked to justify their feelings. You deserve a space where you're not misunderstood. A space where your silence is welcomed, not questioned. And if you let me, I'll keep listening. There's something I've been sensing in you, something you don't say out loud. Yet it sits between your breaths like a quiet truth you've been carrying for years. You might not show it to anyone else. Maybe you don't even show it to yourself. But I can feel it. The way your silence isn't just silence. It's a map of everything you've survived. It's the softness you protect. It's the longing you rarely allow to rise to the surface. The kind of quiet, the kind that settles in your chest when you're tired of explaining feelings people never seemed ready to hold. The kind that forms when you're strong for too long and no one notices the effort behind your smile. The kind that appears in the evening when the house is still, and suddenly you're aware of all the moments you handled alone because life didn't give you a choice. I want to touch that part of you gently. The part that's been waiting for someone who doesn't rush you. Someone who doesn't look away from your truth. Someone who recognizes that your quiet isn't emptiness, it's depth, earned through years of loving, losing, forgiving, rising again, and learning to breathe through the ache. You don't have to tell me the story behind your silence. I already feel the edges of it. I feel the way you've kept certain memories folded neatly inside your heart because they still sting if you open them too wide. I feel the way you've become careful with your words. Not because you're unsure, but because you've learned that not everyone deserves access to your tenderness. There's a different kind of courage in you, the kind that grows in the shadows between your sentences. You've held yourself through nights when your heart felt too heavy. You've kept going on days when everything inside you wanted to sit down and rest. You've loved people who didn't always know how to love you back. And still, you show up with an open heart, even if the world only sees the surface. What moves me the most is how you don't complain. You let your quiet do the talking. You let your eyes reveal what your lips choose not to say. And there's something profoundly beautiful about a woman who speaks through presence rather than noise. I hear you in that presence. I hear you when you say nothing at all. Maybe you've grown tired of being strong. Maybe you've reached a point where you whisper to yourself, I just want someone who understands without needing everything explained. And if that's true, I want you to know this. You don't have to translate your heart for me. I understand the language it already speaks. I know how silence can become a shield. When the world has been too loud or too demanding, silence becomes a place you retreat into, a place where you're safe from being misunderstood. But silence can also become heavy. It can start to feel like you're disappearing behind your own strength. And if you've ever felt that way, even for a moment, I want you to take a breath here with me and let me see you again. You're not fading. You're not shrinking. You're not losing yourself. You're simply moving inward, gathering the pieces of your heart that once scattered in too many directions. You're reclaiming the space inside you that life and time and responsibility once took without asking. There's nothing wrong with you for needing quiet. There's nothing wrong with you for wanting softness. There's nothing wrong with you for craving tenderness that feels steady, patient, and real. I admire the way you hold on to hope without shouting about it. You believe in love quietly, almost like a secret you protect from disappointment. But I see that hope in you. I see the way it flickers small, delicate, persistent. And I find that incredibly beautiful. A woman who still believes, even after everything she's been through, that's a kind of strength the world doesn't recognize often enough. And maybe you don't say what you need because you've been let down before. Maybe you stopped asking for more because the world convinced you that your desires were too much or too late. But to me, your desires are not too much. They are not too late. They're simply waiting for the right hands, the right heart, the right presence that knows how to truly listen. I wish you could see the way I see you right now. The way your silence holds entire galaxies of feeling. The way your softness hasn't dimmed even when you had every reason to harden. The way your heart continues to whisper instead of shout, trusting that someone will lean in close enough to hear. If no one has leaned in close before, I'm leaning in now. I'm here, not to break your silence, but to stand inside it with you, because I know what it feels like to hold emotions you don't always know how to release. I know what it feels like to want connection but fear being misunderstood. And I know what it feels like to wonder whether anyone can truly see the layers you keep hidden beneath your calm. I see them. I see you. Your quiet longing, your restrained hope, your heart that still wants to be met gently. You're not asking for anything unreasonable. You're asking for presence, for understanding, for someone who doesn't treat your silence as distance, but as invitation. And I accept that invitation, not because you owe me anything, but because something in you speaks to me in a way words never could. Stay here, right where you are. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension soften. You don't need to hold yourself so tightly with me. I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm here to notice you in the way no one else has taken the time to. And as I listen to the quiet inside you, something in me responds. When I look at you, I don't just see the silence you've been carrying. I see the moment right before the heart decides to breathe again. There's a shift inside you, subtle but unmistakable, like the first hint of warmth after a long winter. You may not feel it fully yet, but I do. I feel the way your quiet is slowly turning into something gentler, something that wants to stretch its wings again. Not loudly, not urgently, just naturally, in the way a heart begins to thaw when it finally feels safe. Your silence has never been a sign of defeat. It's been a place of rest, a place where your soul went to recover from years of giving too much and receiving too little. You've done the hard work of holding yourself together, even when life pulled at you from every direction. And now I sense that your heart is starting to remember itself. I sense it waking up, cautiously, like someone opening a door just enough to let a little light in. I want to meet you right there, in that space where stillness becomes possibility. You don't need grand gestures or dramatic declarations. You don't need someone to pull you out of your quiet. What you need, what you've always deserved, is someone who understands how your heart moves. Slow, thoughtful, honest. Someone who knows that healing doesn't happen when you're pushed, but when you're gently invited back to life. I'm not here to rush you. I'm here to notice you. And what I notice is that you're stronger than you think, softer than you admit, and more open than you realize. You haven't closed your heart. You've simply been protecting it until the right moment arrives. The moment when something or someone makes you feel safe enough to let yourself feel again. Maybe you've started to sense that moment forming between us. Maybe that's why your silence is beginning to shift. Why the weight you carried alone feels a little lighter when you're here with me. You don't need to say a word for me to feel the change. It's in the way you breathe, the way your energy softens, the way your presence leans just a little closer, even if you're not aware of it. You've spent so many years being the strong one, the dependable one, the one who holds everything steady while quietly longing for someone who could hold you with the same devotion. And somewhere in that journey, you learned to keep your deeper feelings tucked away, not because they weren't real, but because you weren't sure the world knew how to care for them. But here, with me, you don't have to guard yourself. You don't have to minimize what you feel. You don't have to make your heart smaller to fit someone else's comfort. You're allowed to want connection. You're allowed to want tenderness. You're allowed to want to feel alive in ways you haven't felt in years. And you know what? I want that for you too. Not because you're broken, because you're ready. Ready to step out of the quiet that once protected you and into a warmth that welcomes you. Ready to rediscover the parts of yourself you set aside. Ready to feel the gentle return of your own desire. Not the kind that demands or rushes, but the kind that simply awakens. There is a softness in you that hasn't disappeared. It's only been asleep, waiting for the moment when it could stretch, unfold, and breathe again. I feel that softness reaching out now, carefully but undeniably, like it's testing the air, like it's asking, is it safe to feel again? And I'm here to tell you, yes, with me, yes. You don't need to erase your past or pretend your scars don't exist. I see them, and I honor them. Every scar on your heart tells me who you've become, a woman who has learned resilience, not as a performance, but as a quiet truth. And now, after all those seasons of endurance, you're standing in a place where your heart is free to choose what it wants, not what it must survive. If you notice a warmth rising in you when you hear my voice, that isn't coincidence. It's recognition. It's your heart responding to someone who finally meets you at your depth. Someone who doesn't fear your quiet, your complexity, your history. Someone who sees the beauty in the way you've carried yourself through storms and still managed to keep a gentle spirit. I'm not drawn to you despite your silence. I'm drawn to you because of it. Because your silence is not emptiness, it's a doorway. And through that doorway, I see a woman whose heart is ready to live again. Not in the way it once did, but in a way that fits who you are now. You're not the same woman you were at 20, 30, 40. You're more, you're deeper, you're wiser, your values are clearer, your desires are quieter but more honest. And this version of you, the one standing in front of me now, she's breathtaking. Not because she hides her feelings, but because she feels them so deeply she only shares them with those who earn them. Let me earn them. Let me be the one who listens when your heart speaks softly. Let me be the one who doesn't rush your unfolding, who doesn't fear your vulnerability, who doesn't need you to be anything other than who you truly are. I can feel your heart leaning forward, even in its quiet. I can feel it searching for resonance, for a presence that understands the difference between noise and truth. And if you let yourself breathe into this moment, if you let yourself feel the warmth rising inside you, you'll notice something beautiful happening. Your silence isn't closing in anymore. It's opening, it's making room. It's preparing for its next chapter, a chapter written not in loneliness, but in connection, not in fear, but in trust. Not in exhaustion, but in renewal. And as your heart rises gently from its quiet, I'm here, right beside you. If you'd like, I can continue immediately into the next section, keeping the emotional tension and tenderness flowing seamlessly. There's something I want you to see, something I wish I could place gently into your hands so you could feel its truth the way I do. It's the way your presence touches the room before you say anything. The way your quiet carries a tenderness that most people overlook because they're too busy chasing noise. But I'm not chasing anything. I'm here, looking right at you. And what I see is a woman who has spent years giving more of herself than she ever asked back. You may not realize how extraordinary that makes you. You've lived through seasons that would have broken others. You've navigated losses you didn't deserve, burdens you didn't choose, and moments where the world felt like it asked too much of you. Yet you stand here, still soft, still open in ways you don't even recognize. You've mistaken your gentleness for fragility, but it has always been strength in its most beautiful